everyone, thank you for tuning in. My name is Stacy-Ann and I'm so happy that you've decided to select this video to watch for the next few minutes. If you haven't subscribed to the channel as yet, now is the time I'm going to ask you to please go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel for more about nursing. It's a platform where we'll be discussing, all educational materials, transitional, or anything that is related to nursing, including hearing the stories of persons, how they've transitioned here, what keeps them motivated, and much more. At this time, I'm going to tell you just a little bit more about myself. I had started a few videos earlier, and just in case you have forgotten or you haven't watched it as yet, they're in the link below. You can always click on them at your own convenience just to hear a little bit more about my story and why this channel was created. So in my videos before, I did make mention that we never really had electricity, running water. We never had inside bathroom, toilet. We had to walk a bit of a distance, to go to church, go to school. Sometimes we never had money, and so my mom had to, talk to the bus driver. We made charcoal for a living. We worked on the farm. We bring water back and forth from neighbor's house to fill the tanks, and a lot of things that I had already discussed. I went to Manchester High School, graduated, started Northern Caribbean University, and now I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my college experience. So after graduating high school, I wasn't so sure what my plans were for university because my parents never had the money, and I didn't know much about student loan. So even though I was going to Manchester High School, I never had a computer. If I needed to use a computer, sometimes we'll use the computer in the town, or we will always go to the library and get information. Otherwise, just doing basic research, getting information was not something that you'll go to the library and get because you want to find out about student loan or ways of paying your way through college. And so after graduating high school, I decided that I was going to try and figure out what was next. And so at my church in Asia, as I said, there were a lot of persons who were going to college. And I had spoken to a young man who introduced me to the work study program. And then there's an elder of mine who is like a father figure. He also introduced us to Northern Caribbean University. But at that time, everybody is aware that Northern Caribbean University is a Seventh-day Adventist institution. There's no subsidization on the school fee. And so, you have to either get student loan or you pay the money out of pocket the full cost. And so at that time, I wasn't so sure how I was going to make it into Northern Caribbean University, despite me having the subjects from high school. I wasn't so sure how I was going to do that process. And so I went ahead and applied for the work program. In 2006, I started working at the Thai Center, where I was working as a server in the restaurant. And during that time, the only thing you could do with the money is either you're going to be paying your school fee, buying books, or anything that is school related. And so because there were 3 sisters of us going to Northern Caribbean University now, because my other sister had enrolled in working to enroll in the university, and now she's going to be working at the Printry. The plan was that we were going to be, trying to find a house in Mandeville or a room in Mandeville where we can actually rent, because the price for the room would have been cheaper than to be doing back and forth travel from Norpatrick, Manchester to Sweetland or Asia in the parish. And so that worked out where we got a little room where we're paying probably like say $10,000, and that was inclusive of everything except light. And so that worked out because we were able to, walk back and forth to school, from school on a daily basis, whether or not it's raining, because that was the best thing for us, best option. So I was saving the money, but that was not enough to cover like expenses for travel or renting an apartment, or even say paying school fee. You're probably working probably 1 year in order to get 1 semester school fee, which doesn't make any sense. And at that time, a young lady who was working at in the kitchen with me, she made a recommendation of me applying for student loan. And that's when I went online, because now I have access to computer. I went online and looked up, the student loan, the process and all. And so I went ahead and did that and applied for it, and I got through, was able to start doing my program in the August, September of that year. At that time, we never really had much money. As I said, money was very scarce for my family. And so my mom sometimes would have like say $500, and she would send that $500, and then, $250 would be for myself and $250 for my sister. Marky, at that time, bus fare was like $100 to go one direction from Spanish Town, from Mandeville Town into NCU. That was a $50 ride. From NCU to Asia, where I'm originally from, that's $100 ride. My mom was able to give us $500 for two of us, and that was, once every blue moon you'd get that money, because there's no more money. She doesn't know where that money is coming from. At that time, we were still doing farming. My dad was still doing farming. My mom had a little shop, and there wasn't anything much in the shop. She had probably like, say, 10 little items on the shelf. She had a little flour, and every now and again, she have to go back into that sale and send us that money. So basically, every little profit that she would make, that's what we will be getting every blue moon to help out with little expenses. Sometimes I remember when she would go ahead and send like one tomato, one sweet pepper, a quarter pound of chicken back, or a quarter pound of chicken, whatever it is that she had, she would normally send it on a taxi, and then she put the little $500 in a pocket and wrap it up in a bag. So she would normally send whatever she has, for us on that taxi, with that taxi driver during the weekday. Every now and again, sometimes we might need money, but there's no money coming, so you just have to try and hold on to that $250 because there's no more. Sometimes they have that $250 for probably like 2 weeks, and $250 at the time, just calculate one Jamaican dollar to, let's say, $100 US at the time, because, or $95 thereabout. So it's not much money she was sending, and that's not $250 per day. That is like $250 until she figure out how she's gonna get some money to us. And as I say, even though we were working at Tyson at the time, you can only get a certain percentage of your pay that you're working, because and it's basically petty cash. So if you work, say, $13,000 for the month, you probably can get, say, $3,000 in a petty cash, and that's what we will have, and we'll just try to make sure we put it towards rent or electricity or whatever it is that we needed the money for. Otherwise, it's back and forth, walking to school, we'll cook. Tofu would kill us because my other sister, she eats vegetarian meals, and so every now and again it's a bunch of tofu or broccoli or anything that is vegetarian, minced beef, anything that is vegetarian. That's what we have to eat, unless my mom sends like quarter chicken. Yeah, you never hear about quarter chicken being sent on a taxi yet. Well, yes, no, So she'll send a quarter chicken to us, or half pound of chicken, or whatever chicken she has with whatever grown provision or starch. She'll send it, and that's what we'll use. Otherwise, for the most part, as I say, money was very scarce. So I started out doing teacher education in 2006 because at the time I was told by someone that I needed human and social biology in order to get into the nursing program, regardless of me having straight bio. I was kind of a little bit shocked about that, but anyways, because I never wanted to start, pre-college, I just wanted to go in, get my college courses done, and just finish with college. I just decided that I was going to do my second option, which would have been teacher education. So I started the program, and then after, I was a little bit concerned because I'm like, I have all of these subjects, and I know I wanted to do nursing. So I went up back to the enrollment department after I had started the teacher education, was almost a semester in, and tried to find out what was the issue, because I've had straight bio at the time of enrollment, but I was told by another person that I needed human and social biology, and that's when I was referred to pre-college. And they're like, no, we prefer straight bio over, human and social biology. And so they were able to try and get me into the nursing department. At that time, you have to be doing your interview with the nursing department because it was very limited, because at the time, the Hyacinth School of Nursing, that's across from Northern Caribbean University, that wasn't established at the time. So the nursing department was a very small department on campus. So, there's limitation. I remember going in for my interview at that time. It was raining. I remember I said we never really had much, and I had a little money. I went ahead and buy the suede shoes in Mandeville. It never came in any Gucci looking box or Louis Vuitton box or anything that is looking expensive. It came in a clear plastic bag. Yes, I buy it on the roadside because it looked professional. It looked like something I could actually wear to the interview. So I put that on with my black pants, and I had gotten a long sleeve blouse for my sister. Put that on and went in for my interview. Only to be told after the interview that I'm not professionally dressed. I'm not appropriately dressed for my interview. Yes, my university is a Seventh-day Adventist institution, but I never knew at the time that pants was not allowed, because the lady was like, or the director at the time, she was like, you need to wear a skirt next time for your interview. And that was it. One of the other persons from the interview, she came out and she's like, welcome to the department. I'm going to be happy to, be working with you. And then it was at that time I was a little bit puzzled, because I'm like, one person is coming out with something positive and the other person is going to tell me that I should have wore a skirt rather than a pants. And that was it. I never got into the nursing department. I continued on my merry way, was still, wanting to do nursing. And so I gave it a second shot. I went ahead and get a different shoes that came in a box. I get a skirt and I wear it with the same top that I had back to the interview, because I was able to do it a second time. And then after that, I got into the nursing department. Yes, I got in after because I wore my skirt. Remember, I never really had money. So the nursing department now was all established. And so the Ascension School of Nursing, you were required to wear a nursing uniform. And that's the best thing for me, because now I don't have to be worried about changing shoes or slippers every day, a pants or a skirt, because you don't want somebody to see in the same thing over and over. A lot of persons might complain about uniform, but uniform works out for persons who don't really have it. Persons who are in need. Yes, when you have one uniform, people don't know that you're wearing the one uniform probably 5 days a week. As long as you look clean and fresh, that's the most important thing. Nobody not smelling your arm, your uniform is looking clean, you're dressed appropriately. That's the most important thing. And so I was so excited at the time, because now they're saying that, oh, you're going to have to wear a uniform every day. And that was the sweetest thing for me, because I only needed to get 2 uniforms. But then, they wanted to wear white shoes. That was very scarce. So I got some white shoes from, on the roadside again in a little black plastic bag. And it was white. The only thing you needed to get was a white polish to kind of help with clearing up the areas that started to change color. And then white stocking. In terms of white stocking, sometimes the stocking probably reel up a little bit. So what I did was cut off one foot and put on 2 pantyhose looking, and you have 2 foot of stocking on. So you're having 2 pantyhose, but it looks like a complete stocking. Nobody knows what's going on under there. All right, so that's how I ended up doing that throughout the whole time that I was going through NCU for my nursing program. I had probably like 3 uniforms by the time I was finished with my 4-year program. The good thing about the uniform is that they make the uniform with enough room. So as you go along, if you decide to put on a little bit of a weight, you can always pull the sides to kind of fill out the uniform a little bit better if you're, feeling a little bit too tight in that uniform. So I was doing my program. Everything was going well. It was no time to go to Kingston. Remember, I tell you, we never have money. And I totally never remember that part, that you're going to have to go into Kingston to go and do the remainder of your nursing program. So you have to spend 2 years in Kingston. So Mandeville campus, everything was going nice and smoothly. Not necessarily, because a lot of days we never really had lunch money. As I said, the $250 that we have, you just have to hold on to it. If it is raining or, or anything like that, you're leaving school very late and you know that you can't chance it to walk home, then you'll use that money to pay for your taxi fare. But otherwise, it was more of you save the money for when it is a hurricane. Rainy, flooding days. All right, so I totally forget about the part where you're going to have to go into Kingston. And then I started thinking about it. How am I going to even going to Kingston when I hardly can find any money here to pay for taxi fare or assist with rent or anything? You understand? Because now you're going into Kingston, you're going to have to try and find a location to stay, taxi fare to go to your clinical sites. That is even more expensive than you can even think of. And so it was at that time I was considering, probably I should have just stayed in teacher education, because I would be walking back and forth every day. And then I would be on campus. I wouldn't need to be going back and forth for 2 years in a different parish, renting a place to stay, and taking taxis frequently, because I never drive. Never fortunate to be driving at that time. Like most of the other persons, they weren't fortunate to be driving at that time. But I'm just saying, if I considered properly at that time, I wouldn't have been in the situation where now I'm going to have to go into Kingston. So it was time now for me to actually go to Kingston to do my third and fourth year of nursing program. So the first and second year in nursing school, that was okay. I wear my uniform every single day. You know, if I needed to wash it at the second or the third day, I'll do that. But remember, I said I had 2 uniforms. So every 2 days I'll wash, and then I'm still looking clean and fresh. You know, nobody know what's going on, because as I say, it's a matter of how you present yourself. And so at the time in third year now, I was in Kingston, and at that time I was thinking about where am I going to be staying. And so I have an uncle in the UK who they've been always there. My uncle Orlando, my uncle Andrew. I'm so happy for you guys, and I want to say thank you for always being there. You know, but my uncle in the UK, he decided that he was going to pay for my dorm fee. He was going to pay for the dorm, and so he did that, and that's how I ended up on the dorm, after which, you know, the dorm was closing down, and so I had to go and find somewhere else. And then I was, you know, still working during the time. Every now and again I was still working back and forth on the Mandeville campus, you know, marking papers with some instructors and all, just so I can actually still get some money, working in the finance office, so I can actually still get some money on days whenever, you know, I really needed it, because now I'm in Kingston, there are so many expenses that you're gonna have to think about. And I remember that there are days when I was on campus, I never had anything to eat. Like, you know, I'd go down and food was just scarce. Like, my mom would have asked a very good family member for some stuff, for some, you know, food items, and to date it never came around. The thing about my mom is that she's very, very, you know, kind. She's a very kind person. She's the type of person that will be cooking, and she'll share out food for everybody, and then she'll be like, okay, what am I gonna be eating, because everything is done. That's the kind of person. She will give away her last, you know, regardless of who it is, what it is. She will just give away her last with anything. But when it comes on to her time, when people should be assisting her, sometimes it's very hard for people to actually, you know, take the time out and say, okay, then here, Miss Debbie, this is yours, or whatever you've been always giving. But that's just my mom. But I remember that there are days when I was in Kingston, I never really had anything at that time. I was there, you know, no family member in Kingston. But then I had this really good friend of mine who I met in 2007. And so Miss Patsy in Spanish Town was there all the time. She would bring food onto the campus. Some days it's raining and I never had anything, and she would bring a lot of food to the campus for me, a little toothpaste, soap, you know, tissue. She'd cook food. So she's the kind of person, she's very kind as well. She'll cook probably like say 1 pound of rice, and she bring the 1 pound of rice or 2 pound of rice come with chicken. So what I'll have is food for days. So if sometimes the chicken is finished, I probably have starch, I probably have rice with gravy, and I'll just figure out how to go about and eat that, because I can always mix it up and just sit and eat it, and I'm happy and nobody knows what is happening. You know, and so that helped me out really, really good. Sometimes it's a case where I remember walking from Halfway Tree, or from the Kingston campus in Halfway Tree back up to the dorm, just like a lot of students, you know, walking with a little rag and your little bottle of water, because you're not going to take any taxi, because the taxi fare is going to be like say $70 or $50 at the time, which is reasonable. But when you go there and you see the traffic from Andrews to Halfway Tree, you have to reconsider it, because it's bumper to bumper traffic. The time you're going to be sitting in a taxi, and if the taxi don't have AC, you'll be melting. You understand? You'll be miserable by the time you reach at work, you reach at clinicals or class, or you reach in Halfway Tree. You're going to be late for class. So it doesn't make any sense. So I normally would just get up early in the morning, leave out at a reasonable time, walk from Andrews, and then, you know, down into Halfway Tree, and that's the same thing I'll do in the evening time, and I'll try and save that money. I remember when my mom used to go to the bank and decide she's going to send me some money. And when you hear people saying that they're going to send you some money, you think it's a lot of money. Sometimes she'll send $1,000, and it's because my other sister would have said, Mommy, you can go ahead and just send Stacy the money. You know, because $500 would have probably been for my other sister, and $500 would have been for me. Sometimes she'll go to the bank and send $500 because that's all she had. And what I do with that $500, $1,000, I keep it. I keep it. I do not do anything with it more than just put it down, leave it where it is at. And when it is rainy time or when it's time for clinicals, then I'll go for that money so I can actually get to my clinical sites, because that's the most important thing. If I do decide to buy anything, it's always something that I'm going to be cooking. I remember a lot of times I'll go downtown and I'll buy ackee. And you know, ackee come in threes. So when I buy one dozen ackee, it's a lot of ackee that for me alone. Ackee and sawfish. So you probably spend $100 and you get a bunch of seasoning. You get ackee, sawfish. You probably get yam. And so when I do that, I'll cook it, and ackee and sawfish and yam and dumpling would kill me every single day when I'm at the Kingston campus. And then in the evenings, I will go home and I'll probably eat bulla and cornflakes, and I'll go to my bed. Cycle continues the next day. You know, nothing changes. The routine is the same. The meal is the same. And nobody knows what exactly is going on, because when I'm home eating, I'm in my little room. I'm trying to watch the little computer that my uncle had given me. It's a laptop, but at the time, you know, the laptop wasn't that perfect. It was something that had to be kept plugged in at all times, because then it's going to start overheat on you. Yes, so you have to turn on the fan to kind of cool it down. But that way I still was able to get my assignments done. You know, I don't have to be staying at the library 24/7, because, you know, I have a computer now. I have a laptop that I can actually use. It wasn't the best, but it was able to get things done. And I remember when my mom sent that money, a lot of times I want to, you know, take a trip down because I want to go home, because you're tired of Kingston. I don't party or anything like that, but I don't want to be in Kingston. I want to go home and see my family. But you have to kind of consider it and think about, you have to calculate, you have to sit down and calculate the maths to see if it makes sense. Because if it doesn't make sense, I'm not doing it. So you have to look at it to say it is a $50 ride from halfway tree to downtown, and then it's a $300 ride from downtown to Mandeville, and then it's a $100 ride from Mandeville to Asia. How much money is that? That is almost $450 just to go. So you can imagine that I have $1,000 and I'm supposed to take $450 out of that just to go down and then come back up. And when you're coming back up, is empty-handed. You're not coming up with a bunch of money or a bunch of groceries, you know. No, you're not coming up with much. So I have to really, you know, decide on how I'm actually be going home, like, you know, what plans I have, what am I going to be getting. So usually I'll just call and say to mommy that, hey, I'm going to come down this weekend. So get any little chicken, any little items that she can get, yam, tomato, Irish, sweet potato, carrots, you know, flour, whatever it is. Because when I'm going up, I am going up with a bunch of items, because it's $450 to go and $450 to come back. That is $900. I cannot waste that. That is enough money to take me to clinicals on multiple days. So I have to really think about why I'm going down and what I will be getting on my way back to the Kingston campus or to Kingston. I remember there are a lot of times as well, you know, when it is time for clinicals and I'm like trying to figure out, okay, then this is what is going to be happening. And, you know, sometimes the clinical sites are not the best, but you have to find your way up there, and you have to be calculating how much money you're going to be needing. And then sometimes I have to be calling my uncle, be like, hey, do you have any money can send me? Or asking my sister if she could send me a little money or something, because if the money that I currently have doesn't work out to covering anything at all. And so my family members, as I say, they were there. I have another family member in Florida, uncle in Florida by my dad's side, who was very helpful as well. He had given me some money that played a really, really significant part in my tuition. I have had Mr. Fida and his family, who has always been there, you know, as a support, you know, a father figure. They are always encouraging me and my siblings, you know, to do more, you know, or just tell us every now and again that you're doing a good job. And this is something that they do to all persons at the church, you know, especially when you're doing good. They will always try to keep on motivating you and encouraging you. I've had the Isaacs, the Williams. Those are very influential people in the church, in the community. And I just look up to them so much, because they've always been there encouraging the young persons in the church, the young adults in the church, you know, to get an education, to be successful, and trying to just help others. The fighters, they were always there. Discreetly, they will sometimes just be like, handing a little envelope with a little money, and that was very helpful. Or if I really couldn't find the money, or mommy never had the money, I will call Mr. Fider and I'll be like, Mr. Fider, please, do you think you'll be able to help me with lunch money this week? And it was like, okay. Get a little envelope, mommy send a little money, and that was it. And it was something that was always appreciated. It was always appreciated. I was just waiting and counting down the days for clinicals to be over, graduation to be over. I remember the time when we were now at the point where we're supposed to be doing our exams or clinical exam, and I tell you, a lot of persons were failing at that time, but in my mind I was like, there's no room for failure because I've had it so hard. I cannot be failing anything right now to be going now to be paying extra money to do over the same course that I already paid for and did and fail. No, I was just so focused on trying to get the best grade I can to progress into graduating and then into the working world, because there was just so many things that I wanted to do, wanted to help out my parents as best as I possibly can. I was so excited at the time when I did my exam, and when you're doing the practical exam for your nursing program and you have persons from the region who would come and sit, observe you. And I remember the night before the exam, I was like so excited, but at the same time I was anxious because I didn't know what I will be doing. And if persons are familiar with the exam, you know that they'll just show up, they'll tell you which hospital you'll be going and then the floor that you'll be on, but at the same time you just have to be prepared with taking care of any patients on the floor. And so I was so excited about that because I was a little bit more comfortable with certain conditions, medications and all and procedures. I just wanted to go in and just ace this thing. And I tell you, when they said that this is the patient you'll be taking and this one is the one that you'll be taking, it was a good thing because I'd met one of the other patients at another location, so I was familiar with their history. And so I did my care plan and did everything, and then it was time now to go and present the patient. And I tell you, I went up there and I just started talking. The more information you give, the better chance it is. And I just keep on talking. And the persons, the invigilators were there just standing, looking. And then she was like, okay, Walker, that's enough. And I was like, okay, but pity they don't know that I was just nervous. I just wanted to get this thing over with, pass the exam and be done away with this exam. And that was just me at that time. And luckily I passed the exam, and I remember going back to class and they were talking about persons who were doing well, and my name came up, and I was like, oh, I prepared so well for that exam, but at the same time they don't understand that I was just nervous. I just wanted to give them all the information because I didn't want to leave anything. I didn't want to omit any important information from that big exam where I will be now at a point where I'll have to resit the exam. And so then I was able to go ahead and sit my boards later on after I'd graduated, and that was one of the most exciting time, after you've sat your exam and you hear that you pass your exam. It was just something that you're looking forward to. I was just looking forward to this day, knowing that I've completed college. I've completed getting my bachelor's of science in nursing. And yes, I owe student loan and the money is gonna be enough. Yes, it's a lot. It's expensive. So the repayment is gonna be a lot of money. And so even though I had done my nursing program and I was excited, nervous about what the repayment for my student loan was, it was just a sigh of relief because I know that now I'm one step closer. I've taken myself out of poverty, out of that poor situation, and then I'm trying to pave my way, into making other generations be out of poverty. And that was just me wanting to motivate someone, into becoming a better person, into wanting to do more, knowing that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Because if I never had the support, as I've said in the other videos, if I never had the support of my community, of my family, my friends, then I wouldn't have been here on this platform to discuss with you and share with you this detail. And so this story that I've just shared with you is not something that I openly discuss with anyone. I found this platform to be somewhere motivational, depending on what you're looking for. And that is what my platform is all about. Sharing my story, motivating others, providing education, guidance, insight into the nursing world, into the nursing journey of other persons. Having persons seeing other person's struggles, and then knowing that there is light. You're not destined to be in one place. You can always advance your career, your goals, and become somebody better than what you thought you would have been. Do not judge your situation, or let no man judge your situation, because your situation can change depending on the road that you take. If you want success, you have to be hungry for it, and as such, you have to just move on. Step out of step out of your comfort zone and get uncomfortable into becoming successful in your endeavors. I want to say thank you for tuning in. And if you haven't subscribed as yet, now is the time I'm going to have you. Please go ahead, like, share, subscribe, turn that notification bell on. And as we move forward, hopefully I'll be able to talk with a few nurses so that they can share their stories. That way we can actually motivate others into wanting to do more.